Hey, what's up? It's your girl Alicia coming to y'all with another inspirational video. If you have not already done so, I want to challenge you to go over to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my channel, Woman of Divine Inspiration. Like my page, share my page, however you want to do it. Don't forget to click the alarm button so that you can be made of any future videos. All right, today's topic, we are going to talk about conquering guilt and shame while speaking your truth. Conquering guilt and shame while speaking your truth. All right, many times, y'all, when we get caught up in the world of sin, it causes us to feel shameful. It causes us to feel less than what we are worth. It causes us to be embarrassed. It causes us to hide behind the truth. It causes us to hide behind the scenes. It causes us to hide behind those very things that we are doing. A sin is just what it is. It's a sin. Not one sin is greater than the other. A sin is a sin. So anytime you feel like you are doing something behind the scenes and you are hiding from it, you're doing something, you're committing adultery, you're lying, you're cheating, you're gambling, you're doing whatever it is, it's a sin, right? And sometimes when we are caught up in our sins, we don't want people to know what those sins are. We don't even want people to know that we are committing those sins. And I'm speaking for myself because when I was living in a world of sin, when I was caught up in a world of sin, I was so embarrassed, y'all. I was so ashamed. I was like, man, what if people find out that I'm doing this thing? Or what if people knew my deepest, darkest secrets? Or what if people knew what I was doing? And then before long, we start to codepend on that guilt, that shame. We start to hold on to those things because that's what we depend on. That's what keeps us going. That's what the hiding behind the truth is what keeps us going, is what I'm saying. And so, how do you acknowledge the fact that you've been caught up in the world of sin? How do you overcome the guilt and the shame? What do I do to conquer this thing? First of all, you got to acknowledge the fact that you are sinning. You have to acknowledge the fact that you are committing a sin, that sin is causing you to hide behind your true identity, that sin is causing you to become a person that you are not, that sin is causing you to sin, and it causes embarrassment. It causes you to feel ashamed. And before long, it bothers you. It starts to to mess with your self-esteem. You're no longer feeling like people will value you. People will look at you the same if they found out who you were hiding behind. And so the only way to conquer that guilt or that shame is to acknowledge those feelings, to acknowledge the fact that you sinned, to acknowledge the fact that you committed whatever it was that you committed, whether it was adultery, whether it was cheating, whether it was lying, whether it was stealing, whether it was being addicted to a substance, whatever it is, you have to acknowledge that and you have to live in your truth. One thing that I have discovered and living in my truth is that people don't want to face the truth. The Bible says that the truth will set you free. And I can contest that the truth will set you free. And who the Son sets free is free indeed. And so there is nothing like being free from sin. There is nothing like walking in freedom. There is nothing like living out your truth. There is nothing like being able to speak your truth. There is nothing like it. There was a time in my life, y'all, where I felt like I could not speak my truth. I had to hide behind my identity. I could not tell people what it was that I had gone through. I could not tell people who I truly was. I felt like I was living a life of a lie. Granted, we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. But when you commit a sin willingly and you know that this is something that you should not be doing and you're trying to get up out of it, but you don't know how to get out of it. And every time you try to escape, the devil comes in 10 times harder, and he will not cut ties with you. He will not cut you loose. He hold on to you by it seems like he holding on to you by your throat. Like that's your lifeline. Like if you let me go, I can breathe. Listen, y'all, I don't care how you look at it. Sin is sin. If you are committing a sin, you are falling away from God. You're pushing yourself further away from God, your creator. And the only way to conquer shame and guilt is to stop committing those sins. The only way to conquer guilt or shame is to acknowledge the fact that you sinned and you fell short of the glory of God. It's to acknowledge the fact that you are not perfect. It is to acknowledge the fact that you are not whom you deem yourself to be. So we have to learn to acknowledge those that guilt, that shame, the feelings that we are feeling, right? And when we start to acknowledge those things, y'all, we start to become a better person. We start to work on those things, all right? And so conquering guilt and shame, acknowledging it, and knowing that you no longer want to be in that situation again. You don't want to have to feel shameful. You don't want to have to feel embarrassed, okay? You don't want to have to hide behind your truth. And so one thing that I have learned is that in my years while on this earth, while I'm able to understand and know what it is, I've changed who I am. I've discovered who I am. And I have begun to walk in my truth. I understood that walking in my truth was not going to make everybody happy. That's another thing that you have to understand when you're walking in your truth. It's not going to make everybody happy. What was once hidden, a hidden agenda for many, or whatever the case may be, what was once hidden in your life, is the very thing that people don't want you to talk about. It's the very thing that you won't talk about for a long time because you're too embarrassed. You're too ashamed. And so when you start living in your truth, what happens is people get mad at you because they felt like that was a secret. You shouldn't have told that. You shouldn't have said that. You should not have let people in on that. Listen to me. I'm transparent. I am very transparent. And I understand the only way to conquer guilt or shame, the only way to live in your truth is to speak your truth. It is to acknowledge your truth. It is to accept your truth. Accept who you are. Accept the things that you cannot change. And those things that you can change, those are the things that you work towards. Those are the things that you work towards that will no longer cause you to feel bitter, that will no longer cause you to feel guilt, that will no longer cause you to feel shameful. You work on it. Live your truth. Speak your truth. And don't be embarrassed because of your truth. But I need you to understand that when you are trying to live your truth, when you are trying to speak your truth, you have to be ready. It's not something that you just come out and talk about, because you got to deal with that internal thing. You got to deal with whatever is bothering you internally. You have to deal with those feelings, those emotions, that low self-esteem, whatever it was that caused you to feel shameful, that caused you to feel embarrassed, that caused you to feel as if you're scared. All right. And so until you deal with those things, that's when you are able to speak your truth. All right. So thank you for just taking the time out to listen to me. If these videos are helpful to you, feel free to drop some comments. Feel free to share. Feel free to like my video. I just thank y'all. Thank you. Until we meet again. Peace.